Do we have a new champion in the supercar class? Did the best and fastest supercar come out today? Those are the questions I'm going to be answering in this video. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online video. My name is SaintsFan, and today we're talking the Benefactor Krieger, the brand new super/hypercar that I believe is the most expensive regular car in the game now. And naturally, that's one of the big questions. Do I buy it? Is it worth basically $3 million? Hopefully, I'll answer that question in this video. Now, starting off with the price, like I did just mention, it's $2.875 million, which is a lot of money. And obviously, that's just the base price. If you add all the customization and liveries and performance options, you're pushing well over $3 million for one single car. That's tough to actually spend your money on, to be honest with you. It's got to be one of the best, if not the best, by a good shot in order for people to spend that much money. And honestly, this car kind of is. Now, I think we're at a point, and like I mentioned with some of the more recent, really good supercars, and even sport cars kind of for that matter, we're at a point where there's not going to be one, except for the Pariah, which is a sport car, which is a whole nother video. There's not going to be one that is just far ahead better than another vehicle, because there are so many supercars that while there might be like a good 4 or 5, one of them doesn't really stand out. Although the Krieger here has a feature that none of the other vehicles have, and that makes it so awesome. Now, as always with these videos, let's start with the customization. So the customization on this car is just average. It seems like whenever they release these supercars, they don't really put too much effort into the customization options. I mean, look, you have your livery options, but those are very standard. Nothing too crazy there. I mean, they do look good, but there's just nothing like really interesting about them. You don't really have many. I don't actually think you have any bumper options. You only have one skirt option. You do have a few hood options, which is not bad. You do have some exhaust options, and what's cool about this car, the stock exhausts are actually on top, which is kind of unique. You also have some spoiler options, although what's unfortunate is that these stock spoiler options are the fins, and I know some people hate those, some people love them. I actually really like the fins. However, the unfortunate part, you have to remove the fins and put on one of the other spoiler options to get the maximum performance out of this vehicle, because that's the way the game works. You have to put a spoiler on to get the maximum traction bonus, and if you don't have a spoiler, even though the fins you would think are a spoiler, it's technically not counted as a spoiler by the game because it's a stock option. So you got to get rid of those if you want the max performance. That's one of the unfortunate parts about this vehicle, but that's sort of just nitpicking. As for some of the other customization, though, you can paint the stock rims with the iFruit glitch if you are inclined to, but they, I believe, look like some of the other sport rims, so it's not that important. The secondary and the trim color is weird in this car. You might see it here. The secondary doesn't actually change the secondary color of the exterior of the car. It changes half of the trim color, whereas the trim color changes the other half of the trim color. So it's a little weird, but you have two different trim colors in the vehicle. Don't know why that's the case, but whatever. Overall, though, customization, like I said, is just, it's fairly average, if not below average. However, the car looks incredible. So I guess it is something like you really don't need to customize this car to make it look good. The standard stock version, the looks, Rockstar, I feel like, did a pretty good job with this vehicle. This is one of the better looking vehicles from this update, in my opinion. And if you're trying to base it off of its real life counterpart, which is, I believe, the Mercedes AMG, I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what it's called. You can throw maybe a brushed aluminum with an ice white pearlescent. I believe that's what I have in this video, and it looks incredible. The shine, that silver, ooh, it looks so beautiful. And you're not going to be disappointed with the looks of this vehicle if you buy it. So that's the customization and the looks and some of the unique features. Now, before we get into performance, one awesome feature that I don't believe many other supercars, if any other supercars have, I can't think of any off the top of my head, this vehicle has all-wheel drive. And what that means is the front wheels actually spin as well as the back wheels. You can see when I'm just driving against the wall here, the front wheels spin every now and then, which means it's all-wheel drive. And what that allows this vehicle to do is have incredible acceleration. From 0 to whatever speed, you're not going to spin out your back tires because the front tires will also spin and boost you so quickly. And that, for a top end supercar, that is amazing, honestly. For racing, for just driving around, you're not going to be spinning your tires out as often. You're going to be getting to higher speeds quicker, which, as you can imagine, makes this car pretty damn good as far as performance goes. Now, we're just going to test it against some of the other top supercars. So the top left, we have the Wagner. The top right, we have the Dev SA8. The bottom right, we have the Emirates. And then the bottom left, we have the new Krieger. So one thing you'll actually notice here, the Dev SA8 actually does beat it by like a half a second in this test. And I'll touch more on that in a second. But it smokes the Wagner, which, again, the Wagner was regarded as one of the best supercars before this casino update. Then the Emirates at the bottom right overtook it, but now the Krieger is actually better than the Emirates. And I think the Emirates may be better around a track, like if you're one of those serious racers. However, I'm not a person who does that, so that doesn't really matter to me. And to be honest, I freaking hate the way the Emirates looks, so I will never own one. But yeah, so you might have saw the Dev SA beat the Krieger by a little bit. We'll hop into that after this test, which is the Krieger versus the Pariah. And the Pariah is a sports car, and still nothing beats it. You will see here in a couple of seconds, while the Krieger does at least initially hold its own, and that's because of that acceleration. The Pariah it takes off about halfway and it just goes insanely fast. I believe like its top speed is like 140, where the Krieger here, I think we might have only gotten it to like 135. So the Pariah is still king of top speed if you're really going for that, but it's another class, so it really doesn't matter too much as far as racing goes. Now, like I was mentioning with the Dev SA8 and the Krieger, so the Dev SA8, when I just went in a straight line on a separate part of the highway, you will notice that the top speed we can get the Dev SA8 to is about like 132. I think we hit 132 maybe for like a split second. It usually averages like 131, maybe 130. Whereas the Krieger, the new vehicle, it takes a little bit longer to actually get to 130, but it does eventually get to 130, maybe 131, if you're on a flat piece of land. So I believe this is why the Dev SA8 did actually beat the Krieger in that test. While the Krieger has much better acceleration, the Dev SA8 just gets to those top speeds quicker, but really the top speeds are almost the same on these two vehicles, so they're almost interchangeable if you're just looking for top speed. But for me, what takes the Krieger to the next level is that all-wheel drive, because if you end up crashing in a race, or if you are just maybe hitting the brakes, that all-wheel drive is gonna propel you forward quicker because you don't lose as much speed and it doesn't have to spin the tires. So I think that's what makes the Krieger so damn good. Now we're going to go and get into handling here, and one thing you will notice is that if you're paying attention to the top speed at the bottom left or the bottom right, in the city, this vehicle can get to maybe even 140. Like, it gets pretty quick when you're in the city. And the reason is because the city has bumps in the roads. The roads are not flat. And the physics of GTA, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it, work weird in that way, where if you're on a flat land, you only get to, like we showed, like 130, But when you start hitting those bumps, like the suspension starts glitching out a little bit, and you get an extra like 4 or 5 miles an hour of speed. So that's how you can get to 135, 140, which is definitely one of, if not the highest for all the supercars. Now, as far as handling goes, this thing handles like a champ. I love the handling on this vehicle. It's so easy to drive. But one negative, and this is kind of funny, because you are going so fast, when you do maybe go and hit one of those bumps, sometimes you're in the air longer than most other vehicles, so you end up hitting walls or light poles more when you're at those top speeds. And you might see that at some points in this gameplay. I'm just going way too fast and I hit one of those like sort of little ramp bumps in the road, and I'll go crashing because you obviously can't really control yourself when you're in the air. But apart from that, handling on this car is phenomenal. You can drift somewhat easily. It's not going to be like super slippery like some other vehicles, but you're not really wanting that for this vehicle. But with the handbrake, you can easily go around corners. And again, using that all-wheel drive, you get the speed back very, very quickly. You also don't really slide out too often. The traction on this vehicle is fairly good. It's not the best, but it is fairly good. And when I went on the strip of land that is very, very bumpy by the golf course or the LSC up in the middle of the city, it doesn't bounce too badly. I mean, it does have some bounciness just because, again, you're going so fast, but it's not as bad as some of the other vehicles. You're not going to really be losing control that much with this vehicle. So overall, I would say this is probably the best new supercar. Is it the fastest? That is kind of up to your interpretation. I would say it and the Dev SA8 are like the same, basically. Honestly, if you're really looking to break it down, the Dev SA8 may still be a little bit better, slightly better for stunt races where you are just going on a straight sort of strip for a long period of time, where this new vehicle, the Krieger, may be better for more regular style races. But overall, this Krieger is an awesome vehicle. The one issue, though, is it's $3 million. That's the question. Are you going to want to spend it? I don't know. That's sort of up to you. I can't really definitively say yes or no. For me, I am definitely going to buy it. I have to get some money first because I don't actually have enough to buy it, but I am going to be getting some money to buy it. It's going in my garage. I love the looks of it. It's an all-wheel drive supercar. It is super fast, and I love the handling of it. So you really can't ask for a much better vehicle. That is it with this Benefactor Krieger review. Thank you all for watching. If you don't have $3 million, don't want to spend $3 million on this vehicle, I'm doing another $8 million shark car giveaway over on my Twitter. So if you want a chance to potentially win $8 million so you don't have to spend your own money, then the link to do so and enter that giveaway is in the description below. Thank you all for watching, though. Please drop the video like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA Online content. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.